Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. I have a couple of cases for you today, and this is of patient one who attended with a blocked left ear. They do have to attend perennially, so once a year around this time, it's almost like clockwork that the ears get blocked, and it comes on quite suddenly for the patient. Up until the last very minute, although of course the earwax is building up slowly but surely in the ear, they don't experience any symptoms until the very last moment. And as soon as their ear gets blocked, it's overnight, and they need to have it removed as soon as possibly as we can. So as you can see, we are in their left ear. They have got quite a bendy entrance to the ear canal. So the ear canal, we're directing the endoscope directly into the ear, and then the canal veers off to the left. That can be a contributing factor sometimes if you've got a very bendy ear as to why earwax collects and becomes impacted in your ear. For the majority of us, earwax naturally expels itself from the ear. We all secrete earwax. Earwax is a combination of three main ingredients. It's 60% there or thereabouts, made up of exfoliated dead skin cells. So the skin that lines the ear canal, as that dies and sheds, it forms into earwax, and it amalgamates and mixes into a fatty, viscous, oily secretion called sebum. We also found that on our scalp. That's secreted by the sebaceous glands, and these glands are attached to the root of the hair follicles, and these hair strands you can see are extending, protruding outwards into the ear canal. They are typically located on the outer third of the ear, the cartilaginous portion. You can see it's a huge supersized piece of earwax there. And also the final ingredient is an oily sweat, and this oily sweat, it's less viscous than sebum, so it's a bit more dilute, less thick, but that's still an oily sweat, and it's the same oily sweat we secrete under our armpits. They are secreted by modified apocrine glands, sweat glands, and they are exclusive to the ear canal, the inner thigh, groin region, and also under our armpits. They can sometimes release an offensive smell, kind of acidic smell, kind of an odorous smell. And these three ingredients form earwax. Earwax generally comes out by itself, but if you've got a bendier than normal ear canal, the wax, as it's travelling around the bend, it gets trapped and it then accumulates and builds up. So we've cleared the patient's left ear canal. The wax appeared to be on the eardrum itself. You may have seen the hammer bone as a bit of dilation of blood vessels there that look like the wax was pushed up against it, but that's fine. It'll settle. So we did measure that piece of wax. It came a bit shorter than I was expecting, actually. It came in at 1.5 centimetres, but upon removal, when we both saw it, we were both aghast, me and the patient, and I thought it would be more like 2.5 centimetres. Just to give you some perspective, the average ear canal length is around 2.6 centimetres. That can vary. Males' ear canals can be longer than females, for example, and adults are longer than children's. So this is the same patient. This is their right ear. Still a substantial piece of wax, but not in the same region as their left side. Managed to remove that. This ear canal wasn't as bendy, so it's a bit of a straighter ear canal, just some residual sticky wax. This is the second bend. So to the left, where you can see the hair strands protruding out from the canal wall, that's the first bend. And where I am now, that's the second bend. And that's all in the outer third of the ear canal. Beyond this point, and you'll see it a bit better here, so where I'm removing this sticky wax of the canal, you can see the change in colour of the skin as well. The more redder skin is the bony parts, a thinner layer of skin, whereas the skin that lines the outer third is cartilaginous portion, and it's a thicker layer of skin, a millimetre in thickness. This is patient 2. So patient 2 had a bit of a narrower ear canal. They also had quite a few more hairs at the entrance of the ear. But this was a lot of wax, but also a lot of dead skin, a lot of dead keratin. So as I alluded to earlier, 60% of earwax, give or take, is made up of dead skin cells. But I would say this is a higher concentration. And in fact, the skin here, it wasn't individual skin cells. It was coming out in ribbons. So it's almost like the canal wall had shedded itself in its entirety, but the skin was still structured together. It was all linked together. And I'm just teasing this forwards and backwards, and because it's dead skin, it has this ability to fold over itself inside the ear as it's building up. And when you therefore remove it, it can stretch and it comes out in long strands and ribbons. The patient was quite surprised themselves. They felt slightly embarrassed by how much came out, but I explained to them that it's nothing of their doing. This can happen to anyone really, and it's because they were concerned that they're not cleaning their ears, and I said, well, we don't recommend you to clean your ears. Let your ears clean themselves. The more, if you try and clean your ears with water, for example, that can cause more issues, and if you try and poke and prod in there, you could push the wax further in. This patient's ear canal was bendier than the first patient, and again, that's another plausible reason as to why they're getting an impaction in this ear. It was also narrower, and it's the first time in their life that they've had to remove wax. This could have been an accumulation for many, many years, but it was unbeknown to the patient. And ironically, what made the patient think they initially had some wax was because their partner, their husband, had some wax removed a few weeks prior, and it just the patient thought they were imagining it, but because they were thinking about it, but they then immediately after their husband said that it made such a big difference. The patient then wondered whether they had wax, and they became more aware and attuned to their hearing or their lack of hearing in this case, in this left ear. And they're actually due to fly tomorrow, so they wanted to get the ears examined and any wax removed prior to flying. So you can see it's coming out, it's quite sticky. That's another characteristic of dead skin. As it dies and macerates, becomes wet and sticky and stretchy. Almost like caramel. Again, it's coming out in a long stretch. Resistant to use a correct, for example, because of the soft nature of this dead skin plug. As you use a correct, you could just squash it and spread it against the canal wall, which makes it a bit untidy. So just persevere with suction, as we can kind of almost suction it away from the ear canal and try and get it in large pieces. Again, I'm just using this rocking motion. I'm trying to go to the top. I'm seeing if I can get a suction grip at the top. I can tease it through because I felt it was getting blocked in that region. And we're almost there now. It's a huge relief for the patient. Because they've had this potential for many, many years, they got used to it. And sometimes it's only when you remove the wax and the patient can hear, as they normally should, that they notice the improvement and difference. And they were wondering how they were managing for all these years now that their ears have been cleaned. They were very grateful, just in nick in time for their holiday tomorrow. Again, I'm just mopping up some of this sticky stuff. And once again, you can see how narrow and bendy this ear canal is. I'm angling the endoscope directly into the ear, but the eardrum wasn't visible at first, and I have to veer around that second bend. That's the eardrum. You can see the blood vessels there around the hammer bone, just slightly dilated. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.